anyone who becomes trapped in this vast desert will never return alive again. The film opens by showing a group of people consisting of Todd, Todd's girlfriend Beth, Josh, Josh's girlfriend Sarah, Joe, Joe's girlfriend Carol, and lastly Beth's younger brother Peter. They initially plan to go on a ski trip to a resort, and to reach their destination they must pass through a route surrounded by a vast desert. Armed only with a map, they drive toward the ski location, and in order to arrive faster, they decide to take a shortcut shown on the map. Unfortunately, after driving for a long time, they end up getting lost in the middle of the desert. At first, Peter suggests that they turn back and return to the main road, but Josh refuses because they have already gone too far from it. Since it is already night, they decide to rest and continue their journey the next morning.
They will bother you if they're rabid, even
In the darkness of the night, they begin sharing stories with one another, and to make the night more enjoyable, they hold a small party by drinking alcohol. Meanwhile, Peter, who is busy playing games inside the van, suddenly hears a noise coming from the bushes. When he checks it out, Todd suddenly appears and startles him. Todd then invites Peter to join the others so he will not be alone. After everyone gathers together, Joe begins telling a story about his experience on Mount Everest, where he and his team were assigned to search for evidence of the existence of the Yeti. After spending days on Mount Everest without finding any sign of the Yeti, one of Joe's teammates named Simon, frustrated and reckless, decided to search for the Yeti on his own. From that moment on, Simon mysteriously disappeared. The rescue team tried to find him but failed, and the only thing they discovered was one of Simon's boots, which was covered in blood. With the discovery of the blood-stained boot, it was believed that Simon was attacked and brutally killed by something mysterious, and to this day, the cause of his disappearance remains unknown. Some of them feel deeply creeped out by the story, but Josh dismisses it as nothing more than a made-up tale.
No, I mean, that would be great, but...
They then continue their party and keep drinking alcohol. After drinking too much, Josh feels the need to urinate, and while he is away, Carol approaches him and bluntly admits that she wants to have an affair with him, even though she is dating Joe. Josh leaves Carol and then sees Beth, who is still awake, so he approaches her and they start talking. Because both of them are drunk, without realizing it, Josh and Beth end up making love. Their intimate act is secretly witnessed by Carol. Before they realize it, morning arrives, and they begin packing up their belongings into the van. When Josh tries to start the van, it refuses to turn on, forcing him to check the engine. Unfortunately, the van's battery is dead, making it impossible to start the vehicle. Not wanting to be trapped in the barren desert, they take out their phones and hope to contact someone, but it turns out that none of their phones have any signal at all. They all begin to accept their situation and can only hope that someone will come to the desert to rescue them. Fortunately, they still have enough food and drinks to last for the next few days. Since they are trapped in a barren desert, they must conserve water, otherwise they will suffer from dehydration. Todd then comes up with an idea to walk to the main road, hoping to find another driver who can give them a ride. Before leaving, Todd brings a bottle of water because the distance he has to travel is very far and the weather is extremely hot. The others are asked to stay inside the van to avoid direct sunlight, as exposure to the sun will make them feel thirstier more quickly. Beth, feeling anxious because her boyfriend Todd is going alone to the main road, asks him to be careful. Todd is told to return in the afternoon because if it gets dark, it will be harder for him to find his way and he could end up getting lost. Todd then sets off toward the main road to look for passing drivers. Shortly after Todd leaves, Josh is seen talking with Beth about the fact that they made love. They realize that it was the biggest mistake they have ever made, because if their partners find out, the situation will become much worse and their relationships could be ruined. Because Beth truly loves Todd, she asks Josh to keep the incident a secret. Not long after Beth leaves, Josh is approached by Carol. Carol, who witnessed their intimate act the previous night, begins threatening Josh, saying that if he refuses to make love with her, she will reveal their secret to everyone. Despite the threat, Josh still refuses to do it with Carol. As a result, Carol immediately tells Josh's girlfriend Sarah that Josh made love with Beth the previous night.
Oh, nothing.
At first, Sarah does not believe Carol, but driven by curiosity, she approaches Beth to ask about it. When questioned repeatedly, Beth speaks hesitantly and refuses to admit what happened, which makes Sarah increasingly convinced that Beth and Josh had an illicit relationship. As time passes, the day turns into late afternoon and night begins to approach. Fortunately, Todd returns right on time, easing everyone's worries. Todd explains that no vehicles passed along the main road, and even though he checked his phone several times, hoping for a signal, nothing worked. They realize they are truly trapped in the barren desert with limited food and water supplies. Hearing this, Sarah blames everyone for recklessly taking the shortcut and angrily vents her frustration. Joe tries to calm Sarah down, reminding her that staying angry will only drain her energy. As night falls, Sarah uses binoculars and spots a light in the distance that appears to be a passing car, but suddenly the light disappears, likely meaning the driver has stopped for the night and will continue in the morning.
Flash it, I'm able to see it.
While they are asleep, Sarah and Joe suddenly hear noises that seem to come from a wild animal. Joe quickly tells everyone to stay inside the van for safety.
There's something out there.
After several hours, Peter wakes up to urinate, and while he is doing so, he is suddenly attacked by a wild animal. Fortunately, Peter manages to get back into the van just in time. However, the attack does not stop there, as the wild animal continues to damage several parts of the van. Joe then asks Peter what he saw, but Peter cannot explain it because the area is extremely dark and he was unable to see what attacked him. After that, Joe tells everyone to get some sleep and says that in the morning they will go out to check the condition of the van. Long story short, morning arrives and they begin inspecting the vehicle, only to find deep claw marks from a wild animal on the body of the van. As their food and water supplies continue to dwindle, Joe asks Josh and Todd to head toward the nearby mountains and look from higher ground to see if there are any houses or signs of civilization they can reach. Following Joe's instructions, Josh and Todd immediately set off along the suggested route. Before leaving, Beth hugs Todd tightly, showing how deeply she loves him. After Josh and Todd leave, Sarah approaches Beth and bluntly asks whether Beth made love with Josh the night before. Cornered by the question, Beth is forced to admit that she did make love with Josh because they were heavily drunk at the time. Even though Beth apologizes, Sarah refuses to forgive her. Shortly after Sarah leaves, Carol appears with an arrogant attitude, and Beth realizes that all of this trouble was caused by Carol. A heated argument breaks out between them, but fortunately Joe and Peter quickly step in and break it up before things get worse.
What is going on?
Turning out to be an interesting little road trip.
Meanwhile, elsewhere, Todd and Josh are shown making their way toward the mountains. Along the journey, Todd tells Josh that he plans to marry Beth soon, which shocks Josh. Josh then asks whether Todd truly loves Beth or not, and Todd becomes confused by the question, feeling that instead of supporting him, Josh seems opposed to the marriage. Todd asks Josh why he disagrees with his plan, but instead of answering, Josh insists on continuing the journey. Todd keeps pressing him with questions until Josh finally confesses that he made love with Beth while they were both extremely drunk. Hearing this confession, Todd becomes furious and violently attacks Josh. Realizing that fighting will not solve anything, Todd eventually stops and decides to set the issue aside for the moment so they can continue their mission to find help. Along the way, they come across the same car they noticed the previous night, but to their horror, all the passengers inside are dead and covered in blood. Whatever happened to them is unclear, but the sight leaves Todd and Josh terrified. Overcome with fear, they start running and decide to return to their friends. Fortunately, before night falls, Todd and Josh manage to make it back to the group. They tell everyone about the car they saw and how the people inside were brutally killed, most likely by the wild animal roaming around the desert. While Todd and Josh are explaining what they saw, the wild creature suddenly appears again, sending everyone into panic. After things seem momentarily safe, Josh gathers his courage and tries to get a closer look at the creature that has been stalking them. When Josh lets his guard down, the beast suddenly attacks him, forcing him to retreat back into the van. Unfortunately, the creature manages to get inside the van as well, leaving them no choice but to flee outside. Everyone manages to escape from the van except Carol, who is brutally attacked by the creature. As a result, Carol is gravely injured and left in critical condition.
I'm here.
By the time morning arrives, Joe, unable to bear seeing Carol suffer in agony, makes the painful decision to end her suffering by killing her.
She doesn't look so good.
Fucking broken up about it, do you?
What they need to do now is work together so the van can run again. Joe and Josh then decide to return to the car that Josh saw earlier to take its battery and install it in their van. Without wasting any time, Josh and Joe immediately run as fast as they can toward the abandoned car. Long story short, Josh and Joe arrive at the vehicle and find it covered in blood, surrounded by several corpses that are already decomposing. Because the car is severely damaged, they open the engine compartment and take the battery. After securing it, they hurry back to install the battery in the van. Meanwhile, Todd is shown grieving after learning that Beth made love with Josh. Beth has already tried to apologize to Todd, but no matter how much she apologizes, it cannot change Todd's decision to end their relationship.
It's time.
As night falls, the group grows increasingly anxious because Josh and Joe still have not returned. After a long wait, Josh and Joe finally appear, but they do not realize that the wild creature has begun chasing them. Joe, who is already old and unable to run fast enough, is brutally torn apart and killed. Fortunately, Josh manages to reach the van just in time. Because Josh is the only one who understands cars, he is forced to get out again to install the battery. After a difficult struggle, Josh finally succeeds in replacing the van's battery. The only thing they need now is the key to start the engine. When Josh searches for the key in his bag, he panics upon realizing it is not there. It turns out the key fell out because his bag was torn. Josh is convinced the key must have dropped near the abandoned car when he took the battery. With no other choice, they wait inside the van until morning so Josh can search for the lost key. All they can do is surrender to the situation and pray that the creature does not attack again. However, not long after, the beast attacks the van once more. This time, Beth becomes the victim and is killed in a horrific manner. Now only Todd, Josh, Sarah, and Peter remain alive. When morning comes, the four of them immediately set out to search for the lost key around the area. Along the way, Todd is overwhelmed with grief after witnessing Beth's tragic death. Josh, who is also grieving, tries to comfort Todd and asks him to let Beth go. Enraged, Todd repeatedly punches Josh, furious over Josh's affair with Beth. Unable to control his anger, Todd unintentionally kills Josh by strangling him. Realizing that mourning is no longer useful, Todd, Sarah, and Peter continue their journey. Eventually, they manage to find the van key that had fallen earlier. Since it is already late afternoon and night is approaching, they are forced to stay inside the car. Peter then comes up with an idea to place the corpses inside the vehicle to mask their scent, hoping the wild creature will not attack them again. The stench of the bodies does manage to deceive the creature, allowing them to rest peacefully through the night. When morning arrives, they return to the van. They reach it at nightfall, and when Peter tries to start the engine, the van still will not start. Todd realizes that something is wrong with the battery installation, so he gets out to check the connections. After fixing it, Todd asks Peter to start the engine again, and this time the van successfully starts. Just as they feel relieved, Todd is suddenly attacked by the wild creature and is killed instantly. Seeing Todd being devoured fills Peter with rage, and he rams the creature with the van, killing it. At first, Peter and Sarah believe everything is finally over, but they soon realize there is not just one creature, but two. The remaining beast manages to kill both Peter and Sarah. The final scene shows a mysterious man arriving at the site of the massacre, revealed to be the owner of the monsters that have slaughtered so many people in the desert. He appears to be a psychopath who enjoys watching people die at the hands of his pet creatures. It is implied that anyone who comes to this desert will meet the same tragic fate as Todd and his friends, and the story comes to an end.